this is the NBA. We're all great players. Somebody can go off and kill you tonight. So of course you know that you're getting into some shit tonight.
Welcome back to the Etceteras. As always, I'm your host, Eddie Gonzalez. I am joined by undefeated Phoenix Sun, as of now, Kevin Durant.
What up, bro?
How you feeling, man?
Solid, man.
Made your home debut last night. We have to talk about that, obviously.
Yeah.
No way around it. You were nervous. I know you didn't use the nervous word in the post-game presser. You're much more political about it.
I wouldn't say nervous, more anxious. Is that the same thing?
I think it's another nice way to say, as your friend, I'm watching like, he looks nervous. He's speeding up. You said. Tell us about it. Because you had a false start. We'll talk about that too. But you had a false start with your home debut.
Yeah.
I feel like that was a part of it too. It's just a lot going on right now.
Yeah. I feel like I've had those games before. But with that being my first game back, it felt a little different. So like the shots that I was missing, they felt bigger than usual. But as the game went on, I got more comfortable, and as I play more, I'll get more comfortable. So, just another step.
As the friend, as the optimist, I thought you hit the boards really well. I thought you made some great passes.
Yes,
that you played some good defense.
That's what you have to say when you don't shoot the ball well. I appreciate that.
I mean it.
I try to stay engaged.
Tough rebounds.
I try to stay engaged. But it is tough when you score the ball and you're not making shots. That's the battle, is just staying engaged. So yeah, I try to do the other things.
It's always funny for me because you're such a calm, collected, just like smooth basketball player.
Yeah.
To watch you be frustrated and then to watch you just, and it's usually shot making. It's only shot making that kind of seems to piss you off.
I get frustrated a lot. It might not be as visible as it was last game, but yeah, I really want to make every shot I shoot, man. So, when I don't make them, I tend to get upset with myself, and I'm still working through that too. That's a battle as well.
I mean, they were good shots. I didn't see. I think there was one driving left.
It was a few.
Took over.
It was a few
2 people. That
it was
like,
probably half of them were bad. Probably more than half. I shot 18. Probably like 13 of them was like, all right, I could have shot it better. Maybe the timing and the position was right, but the way I shot it wasn't good enough. Like rushed it, just no fundamentals. But yeah, I could have took a lot of those back.
Well, I'm just happy to see you back on the court. The injury was such a freak injury. Like, it was so weird.
Yeah. So that's 3 big injuries like that.
Yeah.
Last couple of years, just freaky. It was unfortunate, but it is what it is at this point.
So I was at that game. It was funny because afterwards you apologized. I'm like, why are you apologizing to me? But I understood kind of, it all happened so quick. And then I'm upstairs and then I get a text that you're like, you don't think you're going to go? I'm like, what? And then it all happened so fast. But the thing that struck me is you were just like, you were like embarrassed that happened. It was weird. You're a star, and so it's always a big thing. But they were so excited. The fans in Phoenix were so excited to see you. And just like every time you moved around on the court, it was like an ovation. So I was like, he looks like this is awkward. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I felt bad. I mean, because it was such a freak thing. I mean, I wanted to go out there and play in front of the crowd. Felt like it was a big letdown when the game started, because I didn't think people realized I wasn't playing until right when the game started. Mm-hmm. So I knew that would be a quick little letdown. But I knew they'll understand that stuff happens and that I'll be out there as quickly as I can. And but everybody's just patiently waiting for me to go out there and play.
I've never tripped on my own foot in front of 10,000 people, so I'd probably be embarrassed.
It's like I've done that before in the workout where I've stepped back and sprained my ankle before. But that one was tough. My ankle swelled up so fast, and I was like, damn, I didn't know. And I didn't know if I should just go out there and play or tell the trainers. I was like in between there. So I'm glad we working through it though. I'm back out there.
When you told me that afterwards, I was like, what? He was like, I realized I couldn't sneak on the court at that point.
Because my ankle was swollen, and I was like, damn, I got to get taped for the game, so they going to see it.
Yeah, that was a trip, but you're back now. You guys are in the 4th seed. You don't care about seeding. You don't.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. At the end of the day, you're gonna have to play who you got to play. Obviously, you want to get the highs. Win every game, and that brings the high seed. But whatever happens, man, just go out there and play.
I like your chances. I like your mob. You have 6 games now to work through your stuff.
Yeah.
That doesn't feel like enough time. Like
enough time to do what?
To build your synergy, right?
I mean,
it's always a work in progress.
Yeah, I think it's always a work in progress. I mean, all these teams have been changing, and guys have been in and out the lineups, and you got to find new identities. I feel like every day, I think you find different ways to play throughout the season. You got different schemes and strategies that you got to implement throughout the whole season. So that may be a part of like chemistry and changing your team. But as far as like us being on the same page, communicating with one another, regardless of what we do, scheme strategy wise, as long as we got that solid, then I feel like we can handle anything. So we all on the same page. We all talk through stuff, and we'll figure it out on the fly, I guess.
The Western Conference is so jumbled. It's such a logjam. Great teams at the bottom of the standings, all that. We talked about the play-in before. Like, I feel like this is the best version of what we can get from the play-in. We've had the LeBron and the Lakers and Steph and the Warriors in it twice now. It looks like we're gonna have it in them 3 times. Like, do you like the play-in? You weren't that big of a fan last time.
Yeah. I don't really have feel any ways towards it. I mean, it's high intensity basketball, which I like. It's guys who towards the end of the regular season, you playing not to get in the play-in, so it's just high intensity ball. But around this time, late March, April, I mean, it's always just great ball, so it don't really matter to me.
Okay, before we move on, because you say high intensity ball, I've been wanting to talk to you about this player for like a month now. Dillon Brooks. Like, he's made this reputation unto himself now, and he's like changing energy of basketball games. You've played with him. He's guarded you. You've talked to each other. What do you think of Dillon and his thing with Draymond? Like all this stuff he has going on.
Yeah, I've seen so many players like that play with that high energy, physical, talk a little trash here and there, but really just playing physical, trying to prove themselves, on this stage. There's a lot of players that come through the league and you want to stand out and, become a name in our game. And I think Dillon Brooks has really took advantage of the opportunities he has playing with a young team, being, having so much responsibility as a young player, being able to guard some of the best players. So you got to have some type of, I don't want to call it crazy for lack of a better term, but you got to muster up something for you to do that every single night, to be asked to be guard the best players every night, and also, be an integral part of the offense. So yeah, he sometimes he takes it too far, but it's just a part of the role he has to play for his team. And we've seen so many players in the history of the game that we all love for doing the same stuff. You know what I'm saying? But it is who he is, and he's standing on that, and I can respect it.
It's a part of high level basketball, like you're saying. Like, you need those guys. You need that energy. You need a guy who can sit there and say, I'm gonna put all my energy on defending Steph tonight. Like,
it's a tall task doing that every night, and all of these guys are so different and unique. You really have to mentally prepare to play these guys. You got to be prepared to get 40 put on you. You know what I mean? And so you got to be ready for that. And I think he's mentally figuring out, all right, this is what I want to be in this league, and I'm going to prove it every time I step out on the floor. Yeah, sometimes he talk a little shit to me, and I'm like, yo, just chill tonight. But I can respect that he bringing that energy to the game every time he play. At least it's not no front with him.
It's I've realized there's a little bit of a code to trash talk on the court, in the sense of you guys kind of keep it on the court. You guys kind of like, you go, most of the time, don't go to the media and say, this is what he said when he was saying. You keep it in-house. But it seems like Dillon is one where guys are like, I got to tell you what he said to me, because he said some shit. So,
yeah, a lot of guys. I mean, yeah, a lot of guys now are, there's just so many eyes on us now. Anytime something happens on the floor, we got to know what's said. We got to try to get the mics. We got to see what's going on, read the lips and see what's going on. So it's bigger than what it used to be. But those scuffles happen throughout the game. We talk so much we say so much little slick shit to each other throughout the game that it's not really a big deal when it's over with. It's just a part of the dialogue. Sometimes you don't even know what you're saying. It just comes out. You know what I'm saying? We're just so conditioned to be on that court and compete against one another. And then when the game over with, you can just release all that and move on.
To me, that's my favorite basketball to play, by the way. Like, as long as we keep it at, at the level, at the competitive level, let's not be weird. You know what I mean? But
and it goes to that. It's a lot of instances where it gets to that side of like weird. Now, all right, I don't fuck with you outside of this, but I mean, a lot of other times it's just we talk a little trash, move on. I respect what you're doing, but I'm trying to win tonight.
Yeah, when I play, and I'm not in the league, but if we got a good competitive run, I'm gonna chirp him. He can't guard you like, yo, you all alone out there. You got that's you. And I'm going to do that, even if I'm not the one cooking, even if it's Vernon out there cooking. I'm going to like, sure, they know he's cooking their ass. Like, that's basketball to me.
Yeah, it is. And I don't think dudes take that personal.
Nah, I don't think. So, okay, I want to talk about one thing I don't think is basketball, and it kind of fits into this. This conversation about who's scared of what player more, and you've getting lumped into this a lot because your bag is your bag.
What Chalmers said about
Chalmers and then Tristan and then even my co-host Chandler Parsons said, "Yo, I was scared of KD, but I wasn't scared of these guys." Like, I get what they're saying. I just think fear and scared are the wrong words. Where do you sit with all this?
It's an appropriate fear that you have for your opponents, knowing that if you aren't locked in, anybody. This is the NBA. We're all great players. Somebody can go off and kill you tonight. So let me lock you in and be ready. That's the type of fear that I'm thinking about. Like when you're going against the best players, the Michael Jordans and LeBron James, of course you feel that you're getting into some shit tonight. But if you locked in and ready for it, and you prepare for it, I wouldn't say you're scared, but it can go either way. So you just got your head on a swivel, it feel like. But I wouldn't say anybody's just like fearful of the challenge, don't want to play, ducking guys for the night, calling with an injury. that type of stuff I don't see much of.
You've prepared for LeBron in 3 separate finals. Like, that there's like, there's a tension to like, we gotta do something about this shit he does.
And it's at home all day thinking about watching film, thinking about, all right, what moves is he gonna do? What is he doing right now? That's, if you want to call that fear, then we go over. We want to do well out there. We want to be prepared for the battle ahead. So you're gonna have that person that you guard in your mind before the game, throughout the game. Yeah. So if you want to call that fear, I guess that's just preparation. You want to get ready for, what's ahead. If you're not doing that, then if you don't feel that way before a game, before a big matchup, I don't really think you invested in the game.
I like that. That's a great way to put it. And I think, look, it's a Jordan and LeBron convo is how this starts. And we know those never go civil, and it is what it is. But, they're preparing for Mike. They're preparing for Bron. They're preparing for you. They're preparing for Steph, for Giannis, for all these people. There's a healthy respect for what all of you guys do and the effectiveness of it as you're preparing to play these teams.
But I mean, since we are talking about it, they do talk about Michael, like the players that played against Michael Jordan talk about him in that way, right? Like they feared playing against him. They feared get put on highlights and stuff like that. But a lot of people felt the same way about guys in that era, the LeBrons, the Kobes, the T-Mac. Like everybody had people that, they stress these defenders out. It's just a part of being a great player. So that's a appropriate fear is what I try to call it.
I'm a be guy on the couch fan for a second. Don't tell me the 90s were like the toughest era of all time and you could never go in the paint and we could hit you with a bat and there was no foul. But then also tell me that you're like terrified.
Yeah.
And Mike is Mike. Don't get me wrong. He's fucking Michael Jordan.
I go back and watch a lot of those 90s film, 80s stuff, and they play physical, but I just think they got away with a lot of flagrant fouls, and I think that's that's why they call their era more physical than ours because we play physical here too. It's more space, but guys play physical. We got strong, athletic guys here too. But I watched some of those games. The paint was clear. Nobody was getting touched. It wasn't a lot of help defense, but you did get a lot of flagrant fouls that didn't result into fines or getting kicked out the game. So it just seemed like, it was a little tougher.
And my thing about that is like, if you put on a game from '85 or whatever, a foul is still a foul. Like there's still touch fouls.
It's still a lot of
there's still ticky tack stuff.
Yeah.
Remember, there's that old Dream Team video and Magic and Larry like we can't touch them. Watch out because they're talking about Mike. It'll be a foul. That has always existed. But I do agree with you. Like the hard, flagrant, like not basketball players. Yeah, that did seem to be a little more frequent, and a little more aggressive.
Yeah,
but the game is better for not having that though.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those plays just got called as techs, and you moved on. Nowadays, guys might get suspended for doing some of the fouls Bill Laimbeer would pull off, like in transition. How he would foul some of those guys that might have been resulting in suspension nowadays. So guys more cautious of being extra physical based off of that.
It is kind of crazy that there was once upon a time where Dr. J and Larry Bird got into a fight on the NBA court.
Yeah, man, so many fights in the 90s, and they just broke it up and kept playing.
That's crazy.
But if that happened in our era, we would be looked at as tough.
You might have to add a scrap to your resume. Like,
nah, it costs too much nowadays.
Melo, we've had some great guys like throw a few blows.
I've never gotten to the point where I want to fight.
I've never got that. Maybe I don't care enough. I've never got that mad playing basketball. It's like, I'm gonna fight you now. So I get it. I want to talk about the tournament. Both tournaments. Your boys, tough L.
Tough one.
But Rodney Terry gets that job. You've spoken highly of him. How do you feel about where the team's going and all of that going forward?
Man, I'm very excited for RT, man, because when you got somebody, alumni that coached there, had a stint there for a long period of time, get to come back. A lot of the guys that he recruited really left the mark there at Texas and built a culture there at Texas. So for him to come back and kind of bring everybody back, had that support again was key. Chris Beard was an alumni too, so that alumni coming back to, be on the coaching staff was huge for the program, I thought, and building the culture. So I'm looking forward to seeing, what we do in the future, man. We got a good recruiting class coming in, a couple McDonald's All-Americans, the next few years. So it's looking good for us, man. I'm glad we was able to get to that Elite Eight too, man. So I'm proud of the guys.
It was a good run. It's obviously a strange time in college basketball. We have, a lot of hangover from the COVID stuff, the open transfer portal.
Yeah.
I think it's diluted the pool a little bit. I think it's also brought about some parity, although number one seed's lost. Is it? You feel like it's a good tournament? Like I'm watching kind of iffy. I feel like we didn't get as many great games.
I feel
like you have a 1 seed losing. You have Princeton going where they.
But that's not great games though. I feel like we had a lot of the close games, a lot of upsets. Not too many blowouts, which is always good. But the one thing, the college, with the COVID stuff and the fifth years, getting the extra year, that has made the game seem a little older than before. But the stage is still the same. It's still important to play in the tournament and make it to the Final Four and become a champion. So we're gonna always watch regardless of what teams, like the low major teams that are in there, mid major teams, that are in there right now. The stage is still a stage.
I flip flop where I used to really like the one and done loaded teams, and now I kind of I have an affinity for like a Drew Timme. Like I like to see a 4th year senior on a team just banging it out, and I like to see teams that, 4 of these guys have been together for X amount of time. And so look, the tournament will always be the tournament. It'll always be entertaining.
And that's what you're seeing. I think these teams are mature teams that have been together for a couple years, that played in college for a few years, so know how to play the game. So I think we're going to get some good – the Final Four is going to be some good bump, man.
This NBA season has been wild too. Like, I like the plan. It's kept everybody playing, and what we have at the bottom of the West, and it's a great team's going to miss out.
Yeah, man. It's gonna be a fun race to the end.
My Kings, I'm claiming them now as a Sacramento native. I'm
That's
flip flopping.
crazy.
I'm being that guy.
That's crazy. You did that, and it's pretty wild that the Sac has solidified themselves like a top 3 seed. They're not like a play-in team. People didn't even think they would. They had maybe a chance to be in the play-in. That's what people was giving them. But now they're a 3 seed and they locked in while everybody else fighting for a position. That's pretty crazy to see.
2 All-Stars I thought they were deserving. Demonis looks
Mhm.
great. De'Aaron Fox is great. I think they surround him with shooters. I like Keegan Murray a lot. I like a lot of what they're doing, man.
They got a deep team.
I
We
know-
said this earlier in the year when we played them. They had a deep team that can go off, and they had us for 153 points early. So I kind of seen it early that they were going to be a high powered team on the offensive side of the ball. So yeah, they had a great year.
They've had the highest offensive rating for pretty much the entire year. They've been the highest scoring team for pretty much the entire year. I know a lot of people and a lot of analysts and apparently some teams are going, that's the squad we want, but I don't think that series is an easy out for anybody, man.
No series is going to be easy in the playoffs. I mean, you're going to fight and claw for every game. So yeah, I mean, I want to see how they perform. I know they're going to be excited. That crowd is going to be insane. But it's always good when a team who hasn't been there for a minute get a chance to play on the stage like that. You see the young players that are already, first time in the playoffs. That's going to be fun to watch as a fan.
So last thing I want to talk about before we get you out of here, the Hall of Fame class, because these are some guys you played with. These are some guys you played against. These are some guys you went to war against.
Yeah.
So we'll start with the 2 guys at the top. D-Wade, you've played him in the finals. You've played him many, many years. First ballot should be obviously
Easy.
He's ending the night. Is he the guy who ends the night there, you think? Or
give me the guys who's going in.
Well, the top 3 are going to be Dirk, D-Wade, Powell. You really went to war with all these guys. And Pop and
Pop.
Becky Hammond. Might be Dirk.
Oh yeah, I see Dirk finishing it off.
Might be Dirk.
Longest career, just most storied career.
So Dirk is always the guy, the big man shooting. I think you're right there too. But like watching him, like he helped change the game in a lot of ways too.
For sure. He inspired a lot of bigs to step out and work on their jump shots. He had an unstoppable shot himself that he coined and that he just created, that everybody follow around the world, and I don't think he get a lot of people don't talk about that fact that the one-legged fade is just a staple in the game. And then it was used by him mostly his whole career. So yeah, he impacted me as a young player and a lot of my friends as well. Somebody from Europe that can shoot it like that at that size. It was at that point when he came in, when it was 98.
Yep.
And then around the early 2000s, it was like, yeah, he really solidified himself as one of the best players in the league. So it's well deserved. He didn't story career. Somebody I respect to the highest power.
30K points. I guess it's him or Hakeem if you want to say who's the best international player ever, and then that's its own conversation. But Dirk is, again, somebody you went to war with in the playoffs, somebody you've guarded in the playoffs, somebody you've been guarded by.
Yeah, and that's a different level when you're playing against these guys in the playoff setting. And I want to say all of these guys were on their way to won championships, beat us to go on and win championships from Pop to Powell to Dirk, D-Wade, so in some small way, I was a part of that journey for them.
You're going to be on some of these highlight reels, man. You're going to be
I'm going to be in the video somewhere. That's good enough, just be able to compete against some of the greatest of all times and just tell these stories of these games. That's really what I would like to do when I'm retired, just being able to play against these guys is an honor. So they all deserve it, and they've been pushing the game and will continue to push the game forward.
Let's talk about Powell because recently got his number retired. Obviously a big deal for a Laker, well-deserving. He's much like Dirk. He's another guy who's transformative in what he did, and to run the floor like that, and he could shoot a little bit.
Shoot it, make plays.
And I mean, he was what Kobe needed at that second half of his career, and neither one of them reached those heights. So they just ended the playoff series against you. Into your first playoff series, right?
First one,
nice tip in.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's another guy who's like, I don't know, he might be underrated at this point.
I think he is. I mean, he was a guy that when he was in Memphis, he was still playing at that level, but it was under the radar in Memphis. And once he got to LA, obviously more eyes in a bigger market, people started to see how good he really was. And when I want to say they lost in '08 to Boston, and then came back in '09, and I think he even went to another level after that series and got even better after that. And then was helped him win 2 in a row. Like playing against him, it was tough, man, because he can so long. His arms are so long. He keeps the ball up so high. His fundamentals were so good. So when they tossing the ball up, it was hard for you to get there. And now he making plays out of that from that that size, and he turn around shooting jump shots over top of his head. He was one of those guys I really looked at and was like, yeah, I may need to try that in my workouts.
No, he was sensational, and I know that '09 finals, and then what was it, 10 when they won again too, right?
Yeah.
And 7, people maybe he should be finals MVP, and he performed that well. And you look at the guys he was going against at those positions too.
KG, Rashid,
Timmy, Sheed, everybody he's dealing with in the West, like
Dirk, like he was going against
Dirk,
a lot of guys.
Him and Dirk had their moments, and he's getting guarded by Ben Wallace, and like it's amazing what he was able to do coming out of Spain and really open up that market. And you can't understate what he did. And he was like studying to be a doctor. Like he was doing that as free time. Like he's just ridiculous human being.
Probably was a talented basketball player that deserves all of this. Good to see him get his jersey retired next to Kobe's.
One of those things, the Hall of Fame, where we argue about it, we debate about it, we do all this stuff about it, but it still matters. You cannot take away how much that matters, and I'm happy those guys are getting their shine. Becky Hammond as well, well deserved. Just won her first championship as a coach, and it's been a journey for her too. So don't want to leave her out, but it's a nice class, man.
She's opened up a lot of doors. She was one of the first to become a coach in the NBA. As a woman, her and Pop, she had a lot of success in the WNBA as a player. But to win one in her first year in Vegas, and they got a chance to win it again.
Yeah, that's a nice team over there.
Yeah.
Added CP.
Yeah,
that's kind of like cheating.
Damn, I forgot about that. We'll talk about that later. But congrats to all of them, man. They definitely deserve it. Can't wait to hear what they say.
Excited to see it, man.
Yeah,
excited to see it.
Definitely want to listen to Dirk's speech. I know it's gonna be funny.
Oh, he's gonna talk his shit.
Yeah, Pop too.
He's gonna talk his shit. Powell's gonna be the consummate pro.
Yeah.
D-Wade will be entertaining, but Dirk, he's gonna talk his shit. I can't wait.
For sure.
So, he deserves that moment though.
Yeah, all of them.
Close it with Dirk. That's my vote. Close it with Dirk.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, it was fun. I cannot wait for the playoffs. I cannot wait to see you. As we're recording this, you're playing Jokic tomorrow, and Jokic has his own convo. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, we will
another time. But it's been fun, man.